Hi everyone, Jamie Humphries here for Six String Alliance, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Wampler Catacomb compact reverb and delay pedal. As well as that, we're going to be taking a look at the Wampler Syntax switcher and also a little look at the Catacomb plugin. So today we're taking a look at the brand new Catacomb pedal from Wampler. This is a combined pedal. This has both reverb and delay. And thanks to some very clever switching options, Wampler have managed to fit this into the same size case as used for the Metaverse and the Terraform. Now, as well as that, we also have the Syntax switcher, which is a really handy little gadget that works alongside the Catacombs pedal but also it will work with other pedals and has a variety of different uses that you can put it to within your setup. Now, as well as that, we're going to look at the Catacomb plugin as well. The plugin is free when you buy the pedal. If you register the pedal, then you can download the plugin. But if you don't buy the pedal, you can also just buy the plugin separately. Okay, so let's take a look at the layout of the pedal. First of all, we have this dial here, which selects the different effects. We have a total of 6 different delays and 5 different reverbs. Then we have 3 controls at the top here. We have the delay time. We have the feedback, which is the repeats themselves, how many times it repeats. And then we have the delay level. We have the modulation control here. This is a really cool control. It adds modulation to your repeats. And on one of the effects, I think it was one of the tape echo style effects, it adds like a wow and flutter a sound to the repeats. And then we have the level of the reverb. Now, all of the controls have a second layer to them, which you access by pushing down this button. So we have the level of the shimmer. We only get that parameter when you're using the shimmer reverb. We have the what's that one? That's the decay of the reverb. Here we have the tone of the delay. We have the rate of the modulation, which you add to the repeats of your delays. And then here we have the tone of the reverb. And also when you hold this control, if I turn this dial here, you can see that I'm selecting through different reverbs, different delays. But then when I hold down that button, I can then access the different reverb. So, like I said, you access anything that's written in blue. You access that by pushing down that button, the bypass button. Let's move on to the foot switches. The foot switches have a multitude of different functions that they can achieve, either from a setup standpoint or within performance. At the moment, the way that I've got this set up is that so this foot switch is operating the tap tempo. This one turns the unit on and off. Now, if I hold that pedal down, see it's flashing green. Okay, now I'm in a mode where this foot switch here will scroll through my presets, which is quite handy, but then we lose the tap tempo. That's where this little pedal comes in. We'll talk about that in a moment, but we can still disengage and re-engage the pedal. Now, if I hold down that button again, now it's flashing red. Now we are in a mode where we can turn off the individual sides of the pedal so we can engage. I'm not sure which one's which, actually. There's the delay, so I can turn the delay on and off. Now there's nothing, turn on the reverb. Okay, so that's quite handy if you want to set it up and use it as 2 individual effects. So this, it's quite intuitive the way that it works, and it gives you different options as to how you might want to set up the pedal within a performance. As I said, this button here also enables you to reach the second layer of functionality for the controls. Now here we have our preset switch. We can scroll through the presets just by pushing that button. Again, if you pair it up with the Syntax switcher, then you can have that on your board. And also, once you've made adjustments, you hold down the save button. It blinks. You can then move the button to where you want to save a preset, and then you hold it again and it saves the preset. Take care with that. I got a little bit confused with this. I should be used to this layout because I have other Wampler pedals with it, but I'm old and stupid. And a couple of times I went to make an adjustment on one preset and managed to erase 3 of my presets. How old man of me is that? On the sides here, we have our inputs. We have stereo inputs. We also have stereo left and right outputs. You have a socket here to plug in your expression pedal. And we have the power. And then we have another little switch, which switches between series and parallel routing. Now, I'm running it in series, which means I've got the delay going into the reverb. Now, by using these controls again, you can actually change that so that the reverb will feed into the delay. So you can change the order of the effects. But if you put it in parallel mode, you can actually have the two effects coming separately out of the outputs, which is another very cool feature. And then we have the MIDI in and the MIDI out for hooking it up to the Syntax. And then if you want to send that out into another device, this would be great for, say, using with the Friedman preamp pedals. I have the IRX and the IRJ. I could come out of that and then use this, use the Syntax to switch through presets, changing the effects on the pedal and also changing the channels, engaging the boost and all the other stuff that you can do with the Friedman pedal. And you've got a really compact and powerful little rig. Okay, so I've got my iPad out just to save me leaning round and looking at the front and making all manner of different mistakes. I should point out actually about the presets. It does come loaded with 8 presets. I've actually changed all the presets. I came up with 8 different presets for the performance track, which we're going to look at in a moment. But you can obviously access more presets if you are using MIDI. Now, let's just talk a little bit about the delays. We've got an analog style delay here, which is, it's kind of like a Boss analog style delay. Then we have the BBD. Oh, have I gone past it? Let's go to the BBD. And that's the Bucket Brigade delay. That's like a memory man. We have the FTE, which is the faux tape echo, which is the one which had, I think it's the space. Yeah, this is the one, the space echo. This is like a, or the echo space delay. This is like a space echo, a maestro or an echoplex. This is the one where using the modulation will add wow and flutter to the repeats. What else have we got? We've got tape and mechanical. So that's like a Binson, Echoret style delay. And then we have the Digi delay, which is like a 2290. So you've got a nice, very clean classic digital delay on there. When it moves, moving on to the reverbs, we have Shimmer, which adds, ambient harmonics. You can almost treat it like a separate instrument, actually. I used it on the, very ethereal sort of Pink Floyd middle section, Pink Floyd inspired section of the track. And I had the Shimmer set up on the expression pedal as well. So I play my chord in and I push the expression pedal down and it was bringing the shimmer effect in. What else have we got? We got plate reverb. We have a spring reverb. We have a room reverb and we have a hall reverb. Just mention about the tap tempo. Something to remind, it's always good to have my notes. With the tap tempo, you can go in if you hold down, it says here, hold down the bypass switch until the LED turns red, and then press the preset LED, and this will take you through different subdivisions for the tap tempo, which is also really handy. So I think that's kind of covered everything. There's a lot of other stuff going on within the menu to do with MIDI, which we don't really need to touch on. Obviously, if you get the pedal, then you can explore that. As I said, I've got it kind of set up in its most sort of basic form. I am running it in stereo. Let's just have a quick look at the Syntax pedal. This is a really powerful little pedal to use on your board. It's not just designed to integrate with the digital Wampler pedals. It will integrate with other units that I dare say you have in your collection. It makes for a really small space-saving option that has a multitude of different functions. You've got these 3 little buttons here on the front. We've got MIDI, we can have tap, or we can have latch. Now, obviously, when I have it set to MIDI, the way I've got it set up is, as you can see, I can, if I move my arm out of the way so you can see the camera, there, look, I can scroll through my presets. So that's really cool because then I can have the pedal turning on and off. I've got my tap tempo and I'm not having to connect another MIDI device or bend down on the floor and scroll through my presets or just be stuck with one sound for the whole gig. You've got a tap option. So you could actually have this set up so that you had the option to switch up your presets with this switch. You could switch down with these and you could have this one set up to do your tap tempo, your tap tempos and your delays. You've also got a latch as well. There is actually saying that there's some other MIDI options as well. You could have this so that you are turning on and off one effect. You could have this so that you were turning off the unit. You've still got your tap tempo and you're going up and down through your presets. There's a lot of different configurations, basically, is what I'm getting at when you use this. So the tap tempo, the latch option is also something really cool, because if you have an amplifier or a preamp pedal that has like a traditional sort of channel switching on it, you can actually send out from the non-MIDI output and attach that to an amp. So you can be doing channel switching on your amplifier as well. I've actually got this little really cool little box that goes with my non-MIDI boogie amps, which I could run this into and be pressing the foot switch on this and be changing, say, my mini rectifier, changing the channels and changing my presets as well. So incredibly powerful stuff when you integrate this into your setup. It's also space saving. I've got a rather clunky jack plug coming out, but if you had like a right angle jack, you could have this literally on its ends. You'd have like an L shape of options, switching options to integrate with your pedal. Let's just take a moment to talk about the setup of the expression pedal. Now, for the expression pedal, I'm using an Ernie Ball volume pedal. I'm using the VP Junior. I've got a little Y cable adapter here. I've just got cables coming from the input and the output of the volume pedal straight into the adapter. And as you can hear, here's one of my presets. Well, no delay or reverb. Push down the pedal. You can hear that I'm able to control the level of the effect with the volume pedal. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at making some adjustments to one of the presets. This was a little bit tricky, so let's just try it and do this together. Now, what I would suggest you do, and I think this is quite important, is once you've set up your sound, this is one of my presets. You can hear I have a lot of delay going on there. Once you've made your preset, store your preset. Then what you do is you push these two buttons down together. That's flashing red. Okay, then you're going to push them down together again. Now it's gone green. Now we're going to push them down together again. It's going to flash blue. There. Now what I've done there is I've stored all of the configurations for the pedal so that basically it's not going to be doing anything. When I now adjust the expression pedal, it's not doing anything. We haven't written any information. And that's really important to do before you try to set the pedal up. So when I push these two buttons down and it goes red, that's going to be where you set the point where the pedal is back. So if I do that, red, I'm now going to just adjust my delay level. Let's turn that all the way down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it like so. Now it's flash green, and I'm going to turn it up to the point of where I want when I push the pedal down. So I've set the minimum amount and the maximum amount. Now I'm going to do that. It goes blue, and that's now set. So when I pull the pedal back, we've got no delay, only reverb. Push the pedal down. There, you've got control over the level of the reverb. Sorry, the delay, I should say. So there's the reverb. And now we can push the pedal down. Now that's really cool, especially if, like me, you're into Steve Morse. You can be bringing your delays in and out, but you can do that with other parameters within each of the effects. Hopefully you're still with me. There are some other areas that we could discuss. There's a lot to do with MIDI in the setup, to do with MIDI clock, setting up the MIDI channels. You can also have this so it's synced. You can sync the Catacomb pedal to the Metaverse and the Terraform, which is really cool. But I think we've dug deep enough to give you an idea that this is quite a multi-layered and very clever pedal. So instead of me doing that thing that I always complain about, sitting and embarrassingly noodling away, I thought we would take a look at my 8 presets just to give you an example of the sounds that you can create with this very cool pedal. Now, let's just talk about how I've got it set up. I'm running the Friedman Plex amp, which has no effects loop. How am I adding my effects post? Well, this is how I always add my effects when I'm using an IR loader such as Captor X. What I do is I come from the amp with the speaker cable into Captor X. The output of Captor X, instead of going straight into the DAW or front of house or wherever, I feed it into my effects and then I come out in stereo and that goes into the DAW or into the PA. I've always done this way, even with my boogie amps that have effects loops. I rarely use an effects loop. I always like to put the effects after the speaker emulation or after the IR. I think that came from years of playing with no effects and having sound men adding the effects within the monitoring and also within the studio as well. I really like that kind of hi-fi sound, and you can achieve that. So that's the way I've got it set up. Coming from the Friedman, going from the speaker output into the Captor X, from the output of Captor X feeding into the Catacomb pedal, and then coming out in stereo. And I'm just blending the reverbs and the delays after the impulse response. Okay, so for the track, I wanted to be inspired by some guitar players who are famous for delay. And there's some very obvious tips of the hat there to Slash, The Edge, Dave Gilmour. There's a little bit of Brian May inspired stuff going on. Plus, there's a little bit of sort of Eric Johnson-y, Steve Morse ethereal chords. And at the end, I just went for an out-and-out sort of reverb, 2290 soaked sort of Petrucci, Steve Lukather sound. So hopefully, there's even a little bit of slide in there with some tape echo. No, it's the bucket delay, like the analog memory man and a spring reverb. So I've tried to cover as many bases. So what we're going to do is we are going to go through my preset. So the first preset was a massive nod. I'm just going to turn up the gain a little bit on the amp because I dropped all that down. This was a nod to Slash. So for this sound, I'm using the analog echo and I've just got a room reverb. And I've got like a sort of a triplet-y repeat afterwards. It's not in sync or anything. That part was never synced on the Guns N' Roses track. But just to give you an idea of the part that I played and how the effect worked, this is a really cool preset. Okay, so you can hear analog echo and a nice room reverb. So now on to my next preset, and this was slightly inspired by Van Halen, although it's not a Van Halen sound. I wanted to do that sort of Echoplex short repeat on the crunch rhythm, as well as using the plate. So this was the sound. You can hear I've got a very tight delay on there and a nice plate reverb. Really nice the way that that tight echo sort of just thickens up the sound of the rhythm guitar. Okay, so now we're on to the next sound, and yes, I've changed guitar. I didn't change guitars throughout the track just to show that I have more than one guitar. I did it for a reason. I wanted that sort of twin pickup, single coil-esque sound, but also I wanted the fixed bridge because for this riff, I was in the key of B, and so I tuned my D string to B. Yeah, I could have used the D note because it's relative, but it just changed the sound. For this sound, this is preset number 3. I wanted to do that sort of, The Edge meets Dave Gilmour. So, we're using the digi delay, and I think, I think it's a Hall I've got on there as well. So I'm using it rhythmically, so you get. I've also got a bit of modulation on the tails of the delay. Works really nice when you're playing those Gilmour style chords. It's just a little bit of movement on the tails of the delay. Okay, on to the next preset. This is preset 4. And yes, I've changed guitar again. This is an unusual guitar. Some of you may or may not know, I've had a long-standing relationship with the music of Queen, being in We Will Rock You all over Europe. And I spent a little bit of time playing in Brian May's band. And I always wanted to have a guitar that was my own, that did the Brian May thing. So I had a Music Man converted by Nigel Knight, who does a lot of work for Brian. So this has an onboard treble booster, and it has the Damasio Brian May pickups from the 80s Guild. I'm a big fan of that guitar. So I wanted, continuing our journey of guitar players we associate with delay, I wanted to do the tape-based echo that you hear Brian May do, right? So yeah, I have the tape selected, and we're back on, we're on the Hall reverb. So that's the tape and the Hall reverb. So I've got a nice long delay set. I'm using all 3 pickups, but I've knocked the neck pickup out of phase, so I get that kind of squawky thing that we associate with Brian. If you just play through a scale, you get these nice harmonies, something like this, a little bit like Brian May does, especially in Brighton Rock. Okay, on to our next preset. This is preset 5, another one that I made, and onto another guitar because I wanted to have some single coil pickups. And this is very much inspired by Eric Johnson and Steve Morse. Again, all of these sounds are inspired by. I was just trying to, tip the hat, nod the head a little bit to some players that we associate with delay. And what I've done here, this is a shimmer effect. I've got the shimmer on the expression pedal. So now, no shimmer, shimmer. So I can play these open voice chords and just push the pedal down and bring the shimmer effect in. Okay, we're going to stick on this guitar, and I've jumped over to preset 7 to save me changing guitars straight away. And for this, I wanted to have like a Gilmour lead. So this is the faux tape echo with some plate reverb. Okay, let's jump back to preset number 6, and I'm back on this guitar. Because of the fixed bridge, I could do some open tunings. So I've just got like an open G tuning, and I'm using the spring reverb and the bucket delay. I just played a little slide melody just so you could get that sort of old school sort of tone with the very sort of tight analog echo and the spring reverb. For the final preset for the track, I just wanted a big lead guitar sound. So we've got a Hall reverb, and we have a nice heavy dose of digital delay. And this works great for high gain lead sounds. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of how it sounds. I think it's a little bit better than me just sitting here. Oh, let me turn this up. Let me turn that down. Just show you the sounds that I put together for the track and the inspiration behind them. Now, if the Catacombs pedal wasn't enough, there is also the Catacombs plugin that you can run within your DAW. And to get the plugin, when you buy the pedal, you simply just have to register the pedal and then you can download the plugin for free. For those of you that don't want to buy the pedal, don't know why you wouldn't after this demo, you can actually purchase the plugin separately. So on with the glasses, got the computer set up. Just to give you a little rundown of how I'm running it, I'm screen capturing, so you are going to see this. I'm still using the Friedman. I'm using the 2 Notes Captor X, and I'm going into the little Black Star Polar audio interface. And then I'm capturing the audio in the other room on my big machine. What I didn't want to do was record some guitar and sit here messing around with the plugin. So I'm demoing the guitar in real time. So I'm monitoring through Cubase so I can adjust the parameters and play. Obviously, you can, if you'd like to play in that way and have your guitar or use plugins within your DAW or run your guitar or your effects unit, whatever your amp sim in, you can obviously monitor through the plugin, or you can add it post to your recorded guitar parts. Something about the way that I'm running it, normally I would run an effect such as this on an auxiliary. So I'd be running it in parallel to my my dry signal, my dry recorded guitar. But to do that, you would have to turn the delay level all the way up, and then you blend it in. And because I wanted to demonstrate all of the controls, I've inserted the delay. So I put it on an insert, so it's right across the signal. So let's have a look at the user interface. There are 2 views. Obviously, the view I've got it at the moment, you can see the pedal. It's available in all the different plugin types. I'm running the VST3 version of it within Cubase, but you can run it in Pro Tools, in Logic, whatever. You've got 2 different views. You have the pedal view, which is very, very attractive. And then if I go here, we have the rack view. So now you can see, if I get rid of that, we've got the rack view, which some of you may prefer that. I actually quite like looking at the pedal. I think it looks quite cool. So this menu here, these 3 little bars, you can set up your parallel delay to reverb or reverb to delay. Up here, we've got the, I'm delay into reverb right now, which is how I want to have it set. So looking at the front of it, this turns your reverb on. The bypass control turns on the delay. Here you can select your different effects, so it looks exactly the same as the pedal itself. And then when you hover over the switches, you've got some secondary controls, a little bit like on the front of the pedal. So you have your delay time. You've got your different subdivisions there, which is very cool. So you can set the rhythm of the repeat. And also, you've got your shimmer control, and you've also got it host sync. So at the moment, I've just got it to the default 120 BPM when you open Cubase. So all of my delays would sync to that. So if you want your delays in time with your track or whatever you're doing, then obviously hit that control. Here we have the feedback, and we have that's a feedback for the delay and the reverb decay. There you have the delay level. It's on 50%, and you have the tone. Again, much like the pedal itself. Then you have the reverb level and the reverb tone, and then you have the modulation depth, the modulation rate. What's that? The reverb modulation and reverb modulation. Oh, so it's delay and reverb, separate modulation rate, and the depth. Sorry. So let's just audition some of the effects. Let's turn on the analog delay to start off with. Okay, you can turn up the level of the delay for some nice swells. We could change the feedback. Turn my guitar up. We can also adjust the tone. So if I turn the tone all the way up, you get a much brighter repeat. Like so. Let's go on to, what's that one? I think that's the bucket delay. So that's like the memory man. Yeah. Okay, this is quite an interesting one here, the faux tape echo. If you want your Gilmore sort of style delays, I think this one's really nice for that. I think that's a beautiful sounding delay, that one there. Let's just push up the rate a little bit. And let's bring in some reverb, actually. Let's put on a plate reverb. So if I turn off the delay, see, there's your reverb. We can set the reverb decay. Let's make that quite big. We can also adjust the tone. Where's the tone of the reverb? Where's that gone? There it is, reverb tone underneath the reverb level. So you can make that brighter or darker. So there's the reverb. And then we can bring in the delay. Just turn down the reverb level a little bit. So that's a really nice. There you go. So if you're into your sort of Gilmore sounds, that will do that really nicely. I've just turned off the reverb. We got the space echo. We can drop that right down. Pull down the feedback. A little bit lower, a bit faster. So you get your Ed style sounds. Let's put the plate on. Sounds cool. Each of the delays has its own characteristic and sound to it. And then my favourite, I like the 2290 style. Got a lot of modulation on that, as you can hear. Let's turn down the rate a little bit. Let's have a look at the reverbs. Let's just turn that off. On the reverbs, you've got your shimmer reverb. The shimmer control is here, so we got it set to 100% at the moment. And shimmer, as I mentioned when we were looking at the pedal, that's adding these overtones, like these harmonic overtones. It's almost like get like little harmonies. There we are. Turn it up a little bit more so it's a bit more obvious, and let's increase the level of the reverb. It's a really beautiful sound. If you bring in the delay for that as well, let's set a slightly longer delay and push the delay time. Okay, so that's the shimmer effect. Let's turn off the delay. Plate reverb. So it's that bright characteristic to it. It's a big sounding reverb, that. I like the plate reverb on guitar. Spring reverb, not really my thing, but if you like the kind of old school twang. got that that sound to it that you associate with the sound of the springs. If we crank up, you can make that quite tight. Yeah, it's got that wobble to it. Room reverb. I like the room. A little bit bright for me, so let's look at the reverb tone. We can turn that down, make it darker. See? We can turn up the where's where was it? The reverb decay. Let's drop that down a little bit. There, so you get like that nice sort of tight ambience, as if the guitar cab is just in a room. And then obviously the hall reverb as well. Okay, so you've got all of the sounds that we find on the pedal, all of the different effects that you find on the pedal, but they are within a plug-in version. So if you really like the sound of the pedal, but you want to have that in your recording setup, then make sure you download the pedal. Okay, so there you have it. Hopefully you stuck with me to the end. We got through a lot. The Catacomb pedal, the Syntax switcher, and the Catacomb plugin. I'm a big fan of Wampler pedals. I always do Wampler stuff and have a great relationship with them. I was very excited about this because it just gives you just such a great portable solution to having a very, very powerful effects pedal that has reverb and delay. You know, that's pretty much what we like to use as guitar players. And it's small. I think the way it's been laid out, there's a lot of thought into the switching. It's really powerful. The quality of the sounds are great. And as usual with anything from Wampler, it's built to be stomped on. Pairing it up with the Syntax switcher makes for a really powerful little rig. So for more information on this pedal, please click the link in the description. If you don't already, please subscribe to the channel. I really hope you've enjoyed this demo, and I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.